What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Rockman3K3, and you're back for another great episode of the Nerd Plate. The Nerd Plate. Um, unfortunately, well, not for unfortunately, unfortunately for you guys, CW or C Dub, aka the Great, C Dub was not able to join us this week. He is taking the week off because it is his birthday. If you're listening to this, partner, happy birthday to the one and only great. The other half of this great podcast wouldn't be possible without you. We're talking about, of course, C Dub. Thank you for being a part of the Nerd Play. Thank you for making it so great. I couldn't do the show without you, bro. I hope you're off enjoying your birthday somewhere. I hope you're having the most fun you're ever going to have. Y'all see him on the streets, you know what I'm saying? Get your walkers out because he's crossing the. Well, I ain't going to put his business out in the street, but he's crossing the threshold. You know what I'm saying? He getting old out here in these streets. But nah, you'll still catch this guy out here hooping. C-Dub is just a great person, man. And again, I can't do the show without him. He brings the wackiness and craziness that I can't bring to the show. And I really appreciate him being on the show and just being a part of it. So with that being said, it's just going to be me today. So, I get it. If you want to, just kind of turn the video off, here's the mouse. Nobody will blame you. I'm just going to put it over here. You want to click on to close the window? I totally understand. But guys, we're going to get into some craziness today. I got a few things from me, of course. I got a few stories I want to share with you in a kind of a think piece. And then I'm going to finish off the episode with more from my good friends from Anime Triad. Now, of course, they're very mysterious and they don't like to be seen on camera. So it'll be just a nice picture and they'll be talking more. We had a great conversation about anime a while back, and I wanted to finally go ahead and post that so you can see that and just hear a lot of the good viewpoints they had because we had a great conversation about anime. So I definitely want to bring that to the table for you. But yeah, no, I hope everyone out there has been having a great day so far. As for me, I'm still out here trying to find a job, you know what I'm saying? Because it's hard on old Rockman 3K3. I haven't had the best of times, but I'm still here for you. And I'm still trucking along, trying to do what I can. So, just wish me luck out there. But the job economy is terrible right now. So, it's rough out there. But I'm still here to bring you great content. And that's never going to change ever. Because, can't stop, won't stop. Nerd Play. Harlem Shake. But anyway, now that I'm done with the terribleness, are you guys ready to get into it? Ready to see what's going on this week? All right, so I got a few things. So I'm going to do two stories for you and one big think piece that we're going to have some words about because I need to talk to you guys as gamers and we need to kind of get on the set page about this. But first, we're going to start off with some news. So let's get into it. So the first thing I actually want to start off with is what's going on with Halo and 343 Studio. Oh, wait. Also, too, before I get into that and everything, while I'm talking to you, I will make sure I have some images or video up because I've gotten some suggestions that you're tired of seeing my face. And I get it. I'm up here talking for a while and just talking to you. So sometimes you'll see me fade in and out with some videos from the different games that I'm going to talk about. So just to kind of break up the monotony since it's just me here. That way you won't get burned out on this lovely face, I'm sure. But anyway, let's jump into it. So the first story I have is, so I don't know if you guys have been under a rock or not, but the gaming industry has been going through a lot. I mean, the tech industry as a whole has been going through a big bloodbath of a lot of like job cuts, a lot of firings, a lot of layoffs. Shout out to anyone that's in the video game industry proper and dealt with this layoff. My heart goes out to you. I know how that feels to lose a job. Trust me, I've lost a lot this year and last year, so I know how that feels when you get laid off, especially when I got laid off due to COVID. It was very tough. But they're going through that right now, especially with the tech crunch that happened and the tech boom. And then all of a sudden now it's just the tech layoff to where now that the tech industries and the gaming industries are starting to feel that kind of that bad recession. It's kind of like what happened in 2008 to where like GameStop got the delayed reaction from the recession. Same thing's happening now So you got a lot of companies trying to save money. Big companies like Microsoft, which they're laying off like 10,000 people. Google was laying off close to 2 to 3,000 jobs. Just a lot of tech companies, guys, are going through bloodbaths, layoffs. So, just and again, if you talk about it here in the comments, just be nice because that's people's jobs. That's not a in career. That's not just a whatever. It's a bad game. Yada yada yada. And we'll also get into that in a minute too because I got a lot to say about that. But anyway, so of course, if like I was saying earlier, if you hadn't heard or been living under a rock, Microsoft had extreme layoffs, which was like upwards in the 10,000 number. We never have the exact numbers, but that's what they announced. They have like multiple rounds of layoffs, and then, like I said, they're not the only ones. Plenty of tech companies right now are going off of layoffs, but one of the things that everyone's worried about is, of course, because this affected their big studios like 343 Industries, Bethesda, and a few others that are under their belt right now. So everybody, of course, is worried about Halo since the launch of Halo Infinite has been kind of rocky. And while it's a great game, the fans just haven't been getting some of the things they should have gotten. Like right now, they just not too long ago got Forge, which they were begging for from the beginning. Things of that nature. So Microsoft actually released a statement earlier saying, "Hey, like we're 343 Industries is going to be making the Halo game in the future here on." So they're like, although we're going through these budget cuts and layoffs, they're still going to be taking care of the Microsoft franchise. Now, what has everyone so worried is that uh, Halo, Microsoft's flagship franchise, has been going through a bit of a rough patch, and not through it's still been doing well in sales and things like that, but it's had a lot of like coming and goings from like the head of departments and different things in 343 industries. Um, it's just a lot of things, a lot of upheavals and a lot of shakeups at that company. It's a lot of people worried, like, hey, well, all this going on, is Halo still going to go on? Is that why we haven't gotten this yet? Things of that nature. But Microsoft's coming out saying, hey, no, like, don't worry. Like, we definitely are going to, 343 Industries is not going anywhere. They're still going to be handling the Halo franchise. We don't want anyone to worry and things of that nature. Um, again, it's one of those things where everybody was kind of worried about because, of course, with the layoffs being as big as they were, and Bethesda getting hit with layoffs, everyone's worried like, oh crap, are we gonna still get everything you promised? Because again, a lot of things at Microsoft did not, or I'm sorry, at 343 Industries, due to a little bit of the shakeup and just overall, just how the climate was. A lot of things that were supposed to come out for the Halo Infinite didn't come out yet, and it had people worried. So, um, more of an update on the Halo now in the future comment that was made, posted earlier. So apparently, according to sources, 343 Industry Studio head Pierre Hinte shared the message on Twitter saying, Halo Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great. Like I was saying earlier, that comes from just, of course, the mass layoff of 10,000. There was rumors swirling, which we don't really entertain rumors, but there's rumors swirling that 343 Industries will be taking off lead development of the Halo franchise and would instead help third-party studios bring Halo to life in the new form of games, as reported by Metro. One such leaker named Bathrobe Spartan even said the initial plans for story-based DLC for Halo Infinite have been canceled already, which 343 says is not true. So, y'all just look out for the Halo fans, because they're going through it. And Halo Infinite's a great game. I have faith that Microsoft, one of their biggest flagship titles, they'll definitely keep it alive and keep a lot of invested into it. A lot of times, based on what we've seen so far, especially with Halo or Gears of War, Microsoft's been very careful about how they handle that, and they're usually good about like, hey, who's gonna do what and how we should progress and things of that nature. So, it's again, layoffs happen. Don't let it scare you. This is something that big tech goes through all the time, but I'm sure like as time progresses, they'll stabilize it, and hopefully too, like because I think it was really just the former leadership of 343 Industries and how they did things with Halo. I think that'll change as well because some of the moves they did with Halo weren't quite the best. So maybe they'll change that. Hopefully they'll change that in the future. But in any case, you guys look out for that. Because that's gonna be it's a new start. So just give them a chance. Next thing too. So this is funny, and I thought this was interesting, but I saw it coming because when the game first came out, it was very hit or miss, and then it just completely bombed. Avengers will be taken offline September 30th. Now, this comes from the official blog of Crystal Dynamics. They said they're pretty much ending support for the live game. If you guys remember Marvel's Avengers that came out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC a while ago, it was supposed to be their like 4-player multiplayer. That's supposed to be something where you and your friends go through the co-op, the story, and then you play a whole bunch of in-game content together, get a battle pass where you get cosmetics and things of that nature. But also, too, they're kind of talking out the side of their mouths because while they were saying, oh, yeah, if you get the battle pass, it's just for cosmetic stuff, guys. It's not for, like, any kind of level up system or anything like that. But then if you look on battle passes, if you pay for those, you get XP boosters that are out the game. So, they kind of lied about that, and they were trying to sweeten the pot to get more people to buy battle passes, which I understand. They wanted people to keep spending money into this because they want the live service model technique because they saw how much money these freemium games are getting. They're like, oh man, we should get some of that. But you can't. That's very hard to ask people to do. We already asked us for $59.99 and in some cases $69.99 for the game. And on top of that, you're just like, hey, and we got these new characters coming out, and we got this coming out. Oh, you guys, we got so much planned. And then, you fall short because you're trying to get everyone to buy the battle pass for every single character. If you're not familiar, basically the battle passes would just, like I said before, only have cosmetics, cosmetic little tags, collectibles, and skins for the characters. The problem is that for Marvel Avengers, it was $20 per character. So if let's say you had like a whole bunch of favorite characters, like your favorite character was like, Captain America, Iron Man, and like Miss Marvel. Well, cool. Well, get ready to pay $60 off the bat if you want to unlock everything for them. And that's, granted, yeah, you could play the game and you can earn stuff that way to unlock, but you had to play. It was another case of Star Wars Battlefront 2 where you have to play for so long that it literally was like either play for like hundreds of hours or just pay this $20 and boom, you got it just like that. So it was kind of one of those things where they sent mixed messages and it wasn't cool. And then plus on top of that, it was too much of what Division suffered from when you first played Division, which Division is a great game. Don't get me wrong, I love Division. But it was constant gear swapping. So every time you got new gear, you always go up by like 2 points or you're 3. And like that gets annoying because you have to always stop every time you get something new to be like, okay, cool, well, I need to level this character up. And it was especially important in Avengers because there's some levels you can only get to if you're a certain level. Like some like maps you can only go to if you're a certain level. And if you had one character at that level but didn't have the other characters, since it was gear related, you had to stop, level that character, and then come back. So it was a lot of work, and it was one of those. It was like the first little live service, paid for live service games that they kind of put out, and it just didn't work out well. It was sad, and it sucks because their plan was to bring out all the Avengers, and they were going to be free to play, the free to obtain or whatever. But in order to like unlock their different costumes, you had to pay for, which is way too expensive. Because some of the hidden characters include, of course, they brought out finally Spider-Man. Ant-Man was supposed to be in there, but he never came. Black Panther finally came. Hawkeye and Lady Hawkeye, both of them finally came to the bundle pack. And there's supposed to be a few others. There's even supposed to be people like Wolverine and a few other people. But that never really panned out since, well, now they're about to cancel service for it. So RIP to that game. Great story, great multiplayer. Just not a good in-game multiplayer, or not something you play over and over again. It's a good co-op, I should say that, but it's not a good multiplayer game. And it just, yeah, didn't strike the right chord. So I get it, just try harder next time, and just, hey, like, maybe not do the live service with it. Just make a game to where people actually want to play it. Um, because yeah, I liked the game. I loved it. I thought it was great in story, but the online play, I didn't pass going through the stories. I didn't want to do anything else. Like, I'm not gonna play the same thing over and over again. I'm not, just because it was the same enemies, it was the same everything, and it just wasn't fun. Like, when you play that same, it was very repetitive. And I say this being a person who's played Division Two, and I love Division Two, but Division Two also suffers from repetitiveness. Um, so yeah, I love the game. I love the story, but I think they should have had more content in there and just more things to go through. It should have been a co-op focus more so than just in-game multiplayer, where would you grind for like resources so you can buy items or buy skins. It's got to be more than that. And don't, please stop the battle pass shit. Unless you're gonna do what Destiny 2 did, unless you're gonna do with what Fortnite does, because they're free games, but they make money off Battle Pass. It's gotta be either or. You can't make me pay again, and I want to reiterate that. You cannot make me pay $59.99 to now $69.99 or $79.99 in some cases for a game, and you still want to put a battle pass on first day. Like, no, that's just not fair. If anything, especially if you're gonna do that now that game's moving to $69 and $79, if anything, in the gaming industry, y'all might want to just start saying, okay, well, if you buy this, you get a battle pass with it. Give people who buy it first day a premium pass. Because, and I understand you're trying to make us pay for the cost of the game, but like, if it's not good, there's no point to me paying $69 or $79 for this game. And I'm definitely not going to do that with all these games coming out. Like, you're in competition mode now. So, like, you got to compete to get my money. Because if it's not good, I'm not supporting it, at all. So, there's that. And, that's crazy. But anyway, that's the Avengers. Again, it will be delisted and offline September 30th. Now, that's not to say if you already have it, like myself, that you can't still go back and play the solo content, as well as go back through and play online with your friends. You can still do that. It just will not be able to be purchased online, and there's not really going to be any online support for it past playing multiplayer, probably through story modes and like just getting like live updates. So that's that. Thanks for what little memories you gave us, Crystal Dynamics. But just again, next time, just try harder, because that was very mid. All right, so the next thing I want to get into, right? I want to talk about the gaming industry in review as a whole. Now, fellow game nerds, let's get in the car. Let's talk. We got to talk about Review Bomb and what's going on with this. Now, case in point, there are two big games out right now that a buddy of mine kind of brought to my attention today. Shout out to Shogun. High on Life and Forspoken. Now, both of these games are good. Are they the best games in the world? No. But they're good for what they are, and I think they're getting too much of a bad rap for no reason. Now, this is coming around to the, as I like to call it, culture versus woke and all this other bullshit that has no room in gaming whatsoever. Has nothing to do with the game itself. Now, I say that because of this. Like, for example, the High on Life, we'll take that first because it came out first. High on Life is a pretty good game. It's a great action game, and it's funny. If you enjoy, Rick and Morty, then Justin Roiland, one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty, he did High on Life, and basically he did it with the whole Rick and Morty crew, but like he's credited for it. But anyway, him and his crew did this video game, and it's really great. It's a good first-person shooter. When I played it, it reminded me a lot of like Doom, and I said some other game, like Doom and Rick and Morty, I guess, like mixed together. And it's not like, don't get me wrong, like it's a lot of action to it, and it didn't reinvent the wheel, but it is fun. You have fun playing it. It's a great action game. It's funny dialogue, and it's cool. If you like the humor of Rick and Morty, that game is for you. Like, it's really great as long as you go in expecting like a pretty average like first person shooter experience. Just a lot of action, jokes, rinse, repeat. All right. On the other end of that, excuse me one sec. On the other end of that, right? You have Forspoken. Now, Forspoken is a really cool idea. It's like an action RPG game from Square Enix that basically looked at Infamous and said, "Hey, we can do that," and basically just kind of made this whole world around like what it would like to be action RPG with the Infamous influence to it. It feels like that and Spider-Man kind of mixed together. I like the main character; she's kind of cool. I like the world she's in. Um, I played the demo. I haven't played the game yet, but the demo had a lot of the game in it. What do I think of the demo? Well, I'll say this. Again, it's another one of those games that like it didn't it's not reinventing the wheel. And it's okay. It's not like, oh my goodness, it's the greatest game in the world. You have to play it. And it's not gonna just revolutionize like action RPGs. But it's still fun. And it's still not as bad as what people are making it out to be. Now, the reason why I bring up these two games is because there's a lot of review bombing going on, and it's a lot of stand shit going on. Listen, the fact that Forspoken, yeah, it didn't reinvent the wheel, but it is like a decent action RPG. It's getting a lot of bad raps that it shouldn't. Like people are going on review bombing, like, oh look, when you go woke, you go broke, and oh look, they're the same people who are defending this. Go listen, y'all, straight up. Let's go back to the times where we just played the games, and if we liked them, we said what we felt about them, in reviews. Or if we didn't like them, we said that and just be done with it. Stop the review bombing. Stop the whole. Well, I don't like it because of this. I don't like it because of that. I don't like it because of. If you didn't play the game, don't speak on it. If you played the demo, that's fine, cool. If you played a little bit, like an hour to 2 hours of the game, that's great, cool. Speak on it. But if you did not play the game, can we please stop like going on these like Metacritics and like review bombing it, going on Steam, review bombing. Like, just stop. Listen, let's like for example the Hogwarts Legacy game. Listen, y'all, I get it. Y'all have a lot of problems with J.K. Rowling. I understand, rightfully so. She just kind of should have kept her views to herself. I understand that. But at the end of the day, Harry Potter is owned by her. And whether you like it or not, she's still going to get residuals. That's just how it is. But on top of that, like, don't forget that she didn't have anything to do with this project. And on top of that, it was put together by people of all different creeds and cultures. And, like, you don't have to make like everyone who says, "Oh, I'm going to buy this game," feel like a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? Because like they want to support the game because it's something they wanted for so long. Like a lot of people worked on that game. And think about the developers too when you start doing the whole boycott this game. And I get it. I understand. I'm not saying like, hey, like support people who don't have your interests involved or don't like you or don't, they're really like just upsetting or offensive to your culture, who you are as a person or whatever. But at the same time, remember, it just wasn't that one person. Like, I hate it when Cosby was, you found out about all the stuff that he had done, and it was fucked up. But he wasn't the only person on Cosby Show, and he couldn't have made that show without the other people. And I'm not, again, definitely not defending him. He's a piece of trash. But at the same time, there were other great people that worked on that show, just like there are other great people that work on these games. So just think about that. And then on the whole, like, hey, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna like stand on the fact that this game is shitty. Why'd you make a shitty game? Listen to me, Rockman 3K3, the guy who is an aspiring game designer. Game designing is tough. Game development is tough. They're the same thing essentially, but it's really, really tough. Whatever you're doing in game development, super duper tough. Like, no one sets out to make a terrible game. I want to preference that with all the might in my little black heart. No one, I repeat, no one sets out to just make a crappy game. That does not happen. That is not their job. What they're trying to do is make an awesome game that they think you will love. The problem is that sometimes through execution or design, development, and even just the production cost gets in the fucking way of them making great games. Case in point, a lot of games out there nowadays are hyped up so much, and I understand that. I get it. But that's not particularly the development's fault. That's more so the company who thinks, oh, we can make so much money off this by pumping up the advertisement. And you've seen it before. You've seen it with Call of Duty. You've seen it with other big titles. You've seen it with the WWE franchise. You've seen a lot of games get so pumped up, and then just they're like air. They just inflate as soon as you stick a pin in them. That's just sometimes just the way in the world. And that is the gaming industry's fault, because that's the corporate side saying, hey, we can make money off this. We got to go in and do all this, when they should just be like, yo, just let the game be whatever it is. Like, we'll put out a few ads, maybe make 1 or 2 commercials, and then we're done. We're not doing this big advertisement campaign. And that's, again, that's something they need to deal with. I understand that. But this review bombing and things that we're doing because we're nitpicking one little thing we don't like and then just blowing it up, we got to stop doing that. We got to go back to like, hey, let's play the game for what it is. Hey, let's just play the game. If we don't like it, say that, move on. Let's not just harp on it. Let's not do a boycott of it. Let's not do review bombing. I am so tired of shit getting review bombed because people are like, oh, I don't like it. Oh, I'm going to get all my friends. Listen, again, no one sets out to make a bad game. And I get it. You have every right to express your opinion, just like I do. And they're all worth the same. Nothing but 2 cents, maybe. But here's the thing. Just remember that someone sat down and worked hard on that game. Someone sat down and worked on that game for years to put out. Even if it's a small little indie 2D sprite just running across the field. Someone spent hours, months, days, years, decades trying to get that out. So it's important that you understand that it's not just as simple as you. Like, if it was so easy to make a great game, I promise y'all, it would be mainlined. Walmart would be making them. Walmart would be selling them out the back door. But it's not. It's very hard. It's a delicate balance of creativity, management, advertisement, and production. And so when you get all that involved, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it is one part of the process over the other. But that's still not fair for you to just be like, I'm going to review bomb this. Did you play the game? No, but I saw on the thing that you couldn't do this, and I don't like that. Let's just go back to, hey, I didn't play it, so I can't really say. Or like, hey, I don't like what's going on, but I'm not going to sit in a review. Because that's not fair. And what y'all are really doing is just fucking up Metacritic. Because pretty soon, it's going to get to the point where people don't even trust Metacritic anymore. And there you go. Now you just cost other people more jobs. Because, hey, you know what's happening? No one can trust reviews anymore. So now people are like, well, fuck it. I'll just play it myself and see what happens. Which we should be doing anyway. But that's beside the point, because even reviewers need jobs. So let's just do that. Let's just go back to, hey, did I play it? Do I like it? Did I like what I played? And if you can honestly say yes or no to that, cool. Then I don't have any problems with that. Let's please stop review bombing. Or let's please stop the whole, well, behind the scenes, they did this, so I don't. Stop. Let the games be what they are. Video games, work of art. Go in there with a clear, concise mind of like, hey, I played this, so this is what I thought of it. You might like it because of this. If you don't go in with this mindset, you'll like it. If you go in with this mindset, you won't like it. Let's go back to that. Even on the great children's show Reading Rainbow, my man LeVar Burton made everybody on the show say, I read this book, I liked it, blah, 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 but don't take my word for it. Read it yourself. Let's go to that mantra. Play it yourself. Just like on this show. Like, I'm never going to, give review numbers, because that's also what messed up everything. And I get it. Number systems make things a lot easier for people to process. I understand that. But I also don't do it because that's what some people go by. Oh, if the game doesn't make more than a 7, I'm not buying it. Oh, if it's a 7 or below, it's trash. I'm not doing that. So on this show, what I always say is, hey, when I played the game, this is what I liked about it. This is what I didn't like about it. Like, for example, I played High on Life, and like I told everyone, I liked the game. It didn't do anything different. It was just okay. But it is funny. If you like Rick and Morty, you will love that game because it has a lot of Rick and Morty jokes. It has a lot of that humor that Justin Roiland brings to the show, and it's great. It's like him and Dan Harmon just sat down again and said, hey, let's make a video game. So you'll love it. If you don't, you probably won't care for some of the jokes, and the action will get a little repetitive. So it is what it is. Forspoken. I have played the demo. Now, based on what I played on the demo, which the demo is a lot like the original game, but they did leave some things out. I can't say that I liked what I played, and it has a lot of potential. But there are some things that I was like, it didn't really run me the right way. Like, for example, the controls were a little off for the action that the game calls for at times. The spell combinations are really cool. It's a great idea, great mechanic. I would like to see more of that. I felt like we didn't get enough of that in the demo. I love the main character. She's really cool. I think there's a lot to explore there, and that whole kind of Alice in Wonderland kind of like feel to it, and her being in a foreign land, almost isekai like, to where it's like, hey, how am I getting back home? Or trying to save people with this. The talking, whatever that is, whether it's the amulet or cape, he's really cool. I like that he talks to you the whole it seems like the whole game, so that's really awesome. And just getting to know more about the characters would be cool. The enemies in it seem like they're okay. They seem a little stiff at times. Sometimes they come at you, and then other times they come at you too hard, and you're just like, okay, how am I going to take this out? And you got to kind of rethink things. But then again, when you do it, like, you know, it feels better, and you get more into it. I would definitely right now, if I was in a good place employment wise, I would definitely pick it up because I definitely want to play more of it, and I do plan on picking it up later. Um, but I can say it's not going to be for everyone. If you didn't like Infamous, if you didn't like Spider-Man, you probably won't like this one. The parkour feel is pretty cool, but it's broken at times. Like I said, based on what I played on the demo. Now, the real game may have fixed a lot of those issues because I know the demos are sometimes really early copies. But I feel like the demo was very close to what the game is going to be. So again, based on what I saw on the demo, that's how I felt about the game. And I do plan on getting it. Not right off the bat right now, just because of where I am financially. But it wasn't that bad of a game. I really want us to stop this review bombing. And listen, stop trying to be on the right side of history all the time. Sometimes it's just not going to happen. All right. Sometimes it's just going to be like, okay, like I'm wrong. Like, trust me, on this show especially, I am wrong a lot. And that's part of the beauty of telling your opinions is that you're wrong and you can learn to be better, or you can learn how to look at things objectively next time around. But it's okay to not always get it right. Just come on, y'all. So, just again, please chill out on the review bombing and chill out on the whole, like, oh my gosh, like, like, come on, y'all. Just let's be adults. Let's go back to, let's not be stands anymore. Let's be fans. Because listen, and I get it. I know what you're saying. Well, Rockman 3K3, as much as you love Nintendo, you're always out there defending them like they pay you every week. And you're absolutely right. I am. But you know what I can also tell you? As much as I love Nintendo, and as much as I'm just like Nintendo forever, and I'm always going to buy whatever they put out, the Switch is dated. Yes, I said it. The Switch is very dated. It is time for a new Switch. It is time for an upgraded system. We do need that. I can tell you this because I have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I can tell you both of them are like slideshows when like the Pokemon are off screen. Up screen. So yeah, again, just and again, like I was saying earlier, like yes, I get it because me defending Nintendo, but even I know the Nintendo Switch is dated. It was dated when it came out, and I'll be the first to admit that. And I fucking love Nintendo. You hear me? Nintendo forever. But yes, when I got Pokemon Violet, like I was saying earlier, coming back from that, like the Pokemon, like right there in your vicinity, everything's fine. But when you're off in the distance and you see Pokemon off in the distance, it's a slideshow. Like just like seriously, I'm not making that up. it's not a bad thing. It doesn't take me out of the game, but it is showing like, okay, the system's dated. It's time. You know what I'm saying? So, but I can still be a fan of Nintendo and still appreciate them, but also see where they need to make. Like you can live in a house and still recognize the cracks in the foundation. You can love that house. You can not move out of the house and still be like, there's some cracks in our foundation. We probably want to get that fixed. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's stop being stands. Let's go back to being fans. Okay, like stop sticking behind stuff no matter what, or stop sticking behind principles like in spite of like everything. Like it's okay sometimes, but you know what? This is flawed. Or you know what? Let me check myself before like defending this. Because like I'm not going to defend something and I have no experience with it. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. That's why I love Nintendo so much. I have so much experience with Nintendo. I've been with Nintendo since I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had every Nintendo system known to man just about. The only thing I'm missing is some Japanese ones and like iterations of ones I already have. But for the most part, just because I love that company doesn't mean I'm not going to point out what they do wrong sometimes because they do. And C Dub talks about this on the show all the time about how like, yo, their Nintendo Switch Online is lacking. And you know what? I'll be the first to say it is compared to the other stuff that's out there. Sure, the pricing matches it though. So I mean, that's great. But at the same time, I understand his frustration about like, hey, they don't put out enough old games for me to really like enjoy this aside from just having this just because I'm a Nintendo fanboy somewhat. He doesn't want to admit it, but he is a Nintendo fan to some extent. But yeah, you know, he absolutely has a point on that. He's waiting on GoldenEye. I'm waiting on GoldenEye. It's okay. You see how I can point out what they're doing wrong, but still be a diehard fan? You see that? You see what happens there? You can do that too. So let's please, in the future, going forward, let's just back up a little bit on this whole review bombing, all right? Because it's getting old. But also too, on top of that, just in the industry as a whole, right now, I can tell you also too, the AAA titles are pretty much dead. Um, Not dead in the sense, oh, we're never gonna see them again. No, you're still gonna see them, but the sense of them coming out and being everything you wanted, or just that whole sense of like following the game from like from the beginning to the end, and then it comes out and it's just great and it's huge, and we have a party about it. Those days are kind of gone simply because the AAA titles cost so much to make and they require such big teams now that like most times they take about 5 to 6 years to come out. And then once they come out, you know, if they're not marketed properly, they could miss out on a lot of revenue because, you know, hey, you've been waiting on it so long. You're like, I'm done. I don't even care about it anymore. I don't even want it anymore. Like, do we even still care about that? Or if they've used stuff that's so dated, it's like, well, now it's out. I don't, you know, I don't care about these mechanics anymore. The world might move on to something else. Case in point, you know, I heard a news article kind of talk about, hey, you know, sandboxes becoming outdated, and that's crazy to me that people are getting tired of sandbox because if you're an old gamer like myself, I remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, and that was just like the beginning of sandboxes. Like everybody, their mom want to be open world, open world, open world. But I think we've done it so much now that people are getting tired of it. Which, I mean, rightfully so, because let me tell you, again, I can't reiterate how much when Grand Theft Auto 3 did the whole open world sandbox thing, that just opened a door of other people like, we're going to do sandbox as well. We're going to do sandbox, 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 sandbox. So, um, you know, trends change. That's another thing that's going on in the industry. And I think right now, the AAA titles, as that trend is kind of coming to an end, and you're going to see a lot more people spread out to the indies, or kind of just go with the indies more about things. I mean, that's what's already happening now. You know, like I said that the other day. I think I said that at the last show, and C-Dub was like, but it's kind of true. Like, if the gaming industry didn't have AAA titles, not AAA titles, I'm sorry. If the gaming industry didn't have indie titles, we'd be in the desert right now. Because before indie became as big as it is now, which I'm trying to push my game out there because Kingdom of Hell comes soon. I'm trying to get this money. It was very funny because we were literally just wait from AAA title to AAA title. No lie, like all we had was just whatever will come out on the systems, not what was on Steam, not little third party stuff. Way before Xbox Live freed the indie developers to say, "Hey, come on our system." Like that's all you had. Is you had to wait for another AAA title or another title to just come out that a company would release. And we had slow times. Like now, there's so much content out there that you can consume so much. You don't have to worry about, okay, I gotta wait until God of War 2 comes out to get a good action game, or I gotta wait until this. And I mean, yeah, in some cases you still have to wait for a big action title, but you also could just go see what these indie dudes are doing. And these indie developers out there are killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like those peeps are coming out with some innovative things, and they don't have like the big like development company or big publisher feel of holding back their creativity. They can just do whatever, and it's like, yo, it's indie. So that's another thing too that's good about this new generation of gaming as well, is that yes, while the AAA titles are not as big as they used to be, or a big or more widely celebrated like they used to be, with indie games now, you don't have to wait so long to play something new. Um, I hope, also too, we're not getting to a saturation point. I mean, everybody does, but I just don't want us to get back to the video game crash of the 80s where it was so bad and there were so many replicas of a replica and so many people putting out games that like the video game industry just crashed, and it took Nintendo to kind of revive everybody out of it. Um, I don't think we'll have that because there's different things in place to protect that. But at the same point, y'all come on, like, let's stop being stands. Let's go back to being fans. It's all right to comment about the cracks in the foundation. You can still be a fan of something and like, hey, all right, it's not perfect. And that's another thing too. Let's stop searching for the perfect game, the perfect project, the perfect. Let's stop this. Nothing's perfect. Even some of the games that you love, someone's gonna find flaws in it. So just stop with this whole it has to be perfect. And, oh, why they messed with my game? Oh, blah blah yada. Like, and I get it. Sometimes a game can go in a new direction and it's too much, you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes it can just get stale by staying in it. I mean, that's what Assassin's Creed is going through right now, to where like it was doing really well staying in the formula it had, but now it's gone so far that a lot of its fans are like, okay, we kind of missed the old Assassin's Creed, but then if you go back to the old Assassin's Creed, you can't go back too far because they made such great innovations in these new ones. So it's all about balance, and we got to give the developers room to find that balance. You know what I'm saying? As a developer myself, I can tell you it's hard to sit there and say, okay, well, especially if you worked on another like I haven't worked on another project. This is my first project. So as my first project, I'm like, okay, well, what worked in other RPG games? Here's what I want to bring to it. And then on top of that, like what will the gamers respond to? What will they not respond to? So there's a lot there. There's a lot that goes into game design. Again, no one sets out to make a bad game. No one. You know what I'm saying? Even the game companies that we know just notoriously are bad for games, they're just a company that hasn't had their hit yet. And they're just trying over and over again to put it out. So just, be a little bit more patient, but at the same time, just be respectful and just be fair. You know what I'm saying? If you hadn't played the game, don't leave a review. That's not fair. Like at least go play the demo. At least go say, well, based off the demo, I hated the game. Or if there's no demo for it, just like, you know what, I hadn't played the game, and don't leave a review if you hadn't played the game. Just make a piece and just write on a blog somewhere. You know what, I hadn't played the game, but I don't like how they said this, and that's going to be in it. And I don't think it's going to be a good game. And just leave it at that. But otherwise, give the developers a chance, because we just never know what can hit and what can't. And if you keep just being so anal and so like restrictive on what they can do, we're never going to get creativity anymore. Because I can tell you, during those days of the Super Nintendo era, during those days of the PS2 era, that's why we had so many great things, creativity, and able to create and flourish. Now with gaming, that's why I said AAA, it's very hard for AAA titles to come out. They have no room for failure. Now it's like you fail once, that's it, you're done. I mean, case in point, big little games with Kingdoms of Amalur, and it wasn't even a flop. EA just felt like it didn't sell as well as they thought it would, so they just killed the whole studio. Like that's the era that we're in now. So that's what I'm saying. stop being so restrictive and unkind to these like developers. And I'm not saying, oh, treat them with baby hands, go buy everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, hey, be fair. If you hadn't played the game, don't leave a review. Just go on the blog somewhere and say, well, I hadn't played it, but I'm not going to play it because of this, because what I see, blah, 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 blah. And that's perfectly fine because that's your opinion of it. That's your 2 cents. But reviews are supposed to be, hey, I played the game and my time with it. This is what it means. That's what a video game review means. Everything else is just static noise. Just ignore that. All right, let's all just be gamers out there. So that's it. That's my soapbox that I got on. And like I said, I'm splicing in videos here and there. Sorry for the long-winded like speech and preaching. It's not that, I see so much of this and I'm just tired of it. Like, as a gamer myself, as a gamer and both a developer, it's like, yo, just give it a fair chance. I don't like Call of Duty. Not because of Call of Duty. I still don't like the Call of Duty bros that play it. But Call of Duty, I still can't deny that it's one of the best first-person shooters out there. I don't like Madden anymore, but Madden's the only football game in town. And then for people who enjoy sports, it's a great game. So I'm not going to take away from that. And if you're going to speak on something, speak to what you know and speak of the truth that you know about that project. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, that's enough of my soapbox from old Rockman 3K3. One other thing before we get into like the other event I have for you. Gosh, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So leading up to the event, which is the the anime conversation. You might notice the anime has changed a little bit. We got a lot of remakes coming back out. Trigun, most notably, Trigun Stampede's come out, and a few people have shared how they felt about it. It is very different. Like I said last week on the show, it's different. It's cool, but very like different. And they don't really follow the manga. They talk more about something that was like a big surprise. And I'm not gonna ruin anything or spoil anything. But it's definitely different from the old school anime and the manga. I still like it. It's still quirky. There's a few things I don't like about it, and a few people that are absent that I don't like. But it's we'll see how that plays out for this particular one. But I am going with mindset like, hey, this is something new, and it is a remake. I do want to see how they play it out. So, without further ado, the next thing I want to share with you is again. I got with Anime Triad, and we had a very beautiful conversation about how anime changed, like the here, the then and now kind of thing about anime. And I thought it was really cool. So we brought up a lot of great points. So I wanted to share that with you today. And yeah, just I hope you enjoy it. Next week, Mr. C Dub will be back. You know what I'm saying? I'll be here with him. And yeah, I just, he wanted to take off for his birthday. So he can go out there and be great, you know what I'm saying? Celebrate again. Thank you so much, homie. And congratulations on another walk around the sun. You're awesome. You're the best Super Saiyan that I know. And yeah, man, I can't wait for you to come back so we can talk more about stuff. But anyway, guys, I want you to enjoy this next little clip. And once again, I'm Rockman 3K3. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to us and hanging out with me. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And again, just, stop the review bombing and just get out there and play games, man. And just, if you like it, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. But just remember, play the game first before you hate on it. And get a good, just get some good experience of it. And then come back and talk to you people about it. Don't just go on there and hate on it because it's cool to hate on it. That defeats the whole purpose of being an actual good review. But if you want to actually tell your true feelings of how you felt on it, then that's okay. And then on top of that, listen, it's okay to disagree with one another. We're going to have different opinions about different things. So anyway, enjoy this next segment. I'm Rockman 3K3, and I will see you guys later. I'm out.
All right, so we're back once again, but this time we are joined again by our man Rockman 3K3 from the Nerd Plate Podcast. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much, man. I'm happy to be here once again. Thank you so much to the secretive and the awesome Anime Triad, the holy place where all anime comes to be discussed. I'm really happy to be on the show. Can't wait to talk about some anime today.
Great, man. Good. It's so awesome to have you here. So today we're gonna talk about kind of our differences and I guess our takes on new gen anime versus old gen anime, and that could have a different meaning for everybody. And I know uh, Rockman 3K3 and I, we have quite the number of anime under our belt that we've watched. Mike and
Yes.
Sean, they're anime fans too. They've kind of arrived a little later to the anime party, but we're going to talk about kind of those things, and I'm going to go ahead and start us off today. It's hard to talk about this topic because it's hard to where's the the start point for this. But I think for me, what I classify as newer gen animation are the animes that gave us really, really long overarching stories with like crazy with a bunch of seasons. So I think in America, in like 2002, we got Naruto. So Naruto, crazy long story that actually technically spans two different shows. It's just one really long manga. Bleach, and then like One Piece, the big three as we call them. That's kind of where I think that starts because soon after you get things like Code Geass, fantastic by the way. If you've never seen it, please go watch it. And you get shows that really took a different look at their, like, I don't know if it's budget or they really took a lot more pride in the animation quality. As the technology became available, they wanted to utilize it. And there's big jumps in those early 2000s to mid 2000s. Another thing that happened that time was the quality of English dubs went through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
That was the golden era when dubs went through the roof. I think of, once again, I just think of that era being what is why we have good dubs now. And Funimation, like they are the core reason I believe why we had it. They have all these great actors on retainer, and now they're merged with Crunchyroll. So it's a good time for anime right now. But that comes at a cost, I think. And I don't know if it's a correlation or a causation thing, or it could be just plain old coincidence. But I feel like when older animation was at its peak, and I'm thinking late 80s, mid 90s, storytelling was really, really different. There was a lot of thought and grit put into this story. We have to tell this story really well, because a lot of those anime were one, maybe two seasons. And I think of stories like you get like the anime movie that started anime movies in Akira, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great story. No, it doesn't look as good as now. It looks fine. It's 1988, I believe. But the story was something we weren't ready for. People did not expect, and it was a whole different level of animation quality and storytelling. And then you get it to like 97, 98, and you get to something like Outlaw Star. Personal favorite of mine. I love Outlaw Star. Shout out to my boy Gene Starwin.
Yeah.
Classic.
And again, the storytelling, the nuances that go on in those stories, versus what goes on now. And I think the thing is there's a lot of implied knowledge in the older animes. They don't spoon feed you everything.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have some kind of thought, deeper thought, little, that like you could put context clues together a little bit in some of these things. And this newer animation, sometimes they have to spoon feed you every little bit, and it's like it becomes redundant. When if you're used to watching older stuff that you have to kind of fill in your own holes to it, And I'm not talking about like plot holes and like they didn't explain stuff. I'm just talking like it's like you see something happen and there was an explosion, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, the oil tanker exploded. You're like, yes, we got the oil tanker exploded from the fire that was caused by whatever XYZ thing is. So implied knowledge, and that's something that's also occurred in older movies. And an older movie that I always reference is like Dead Poet Society. It's a great movie with Robin Williams, and it's a movie that has some implied knowledge because of the time in which it came out. It came out in the 90s, but it was really set in like the 80s kind of feel. And so the 80s are much closer than the 2020s, right? So if a kid or somebody today watches it, they don't get the same connection. And I think with newer animation, they make stuff look really well. It looks better. Animation's at an all-time high. Demon Slayer is a great example of that. A new generation animation, a new gen show with fantastic animation. But I also find that story lacks good storytelling. And so it's kind of a give and take kind of thing. And that's probably my biggest thing between new and old. And music. Music is a big thing too. I think music is better than it used to be. It sounds better than it used to be. The whole audio table is better than it used to be. And that really drives shows and movies with these two. So these are my two big things: is that implied knowledge. I guess three things: implied knowledge not really existing now as it used to. So they're kind of spoon feeding everything. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I'm not sure. Animation all time high, and music just being crazy good. That's my thing. Mike.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's an interesting parallel that you put there. Kind of talk about like, what Hollywood used to do compared to what like anime used to do, right? Like context is important. Some stories you're not going to get if you don't really know what the author was sort of like. What circumstances are they writing it under? I think that when we talk about old school anime, the funny thing is I feel like there's sort of two generations of old school anime. Like you have the early stuff, like you have like Dragon Ball, like original Dragon Ball. You have like Guyver. You have stuff like I would say Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop fall into that for me, but they are sort of transitioning into the second version of new gen, which I think starts with like Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece, these kind of things, where it is old school, but there's a different feel about them.
Yeah, I like that. Transitional animes is a good term.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of them are, and you kind of said it, how they change the way they tell stories, because they're not just trying to tell like, hey, okay, we got 13 episodes, we gotta show y'all something cool. Like I think about what was it, Black Blood Brothers or something like that?
Yeah, Black Blood Brothers, that's a good one.
Yeah, love that show. And it's just like, hey, this is just a 12 episodes, like let's just tell this story about vampires and werewolves, and it's gonna wrap up real quick.
I got it on Blu-ray right here.
Yeah, man, it's and I feel like that still exists, which is cool. But like, actually, I'm watching a Hina Matsuri right now on Funimation, and it's that same idea. It's like we got 12 episodes, but I feel like I don't know how much of that real light-hearted kind of stuff existed in the old school. I know I'm repeating a lot of words right now, but once again, that may just talk to, I guess, how few anime from that era I've seen. And so to me, new school, I think the things that transition to that for me is kind of going from that middle era where, like, I feel like Code Geass and Full Metal Brotherhood, like those two shows are like the peak of anime for me. And they are kind of the last leg of that middle version, like the newer old school going into new school. When I think about new school, I think about like Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, things of that nature that have come out, I guess probably since 2010, 2012, something like that.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2015 in some cases. There seems to be fads. It feels like anime goes through fads.
Oh yes.
Like, it's like, hey, what's big right now? Like isekai anime got huge all of a sudden.
Mhm.
Like I watched Sword Art Online and I was like, this is dope. And then you have like Overlord comes out, and then you have
Log Horizon.
Right.
Show. Let's show.
I feel like does Dot Hack fall into that category?
Absolutely.
Well, that's
Like-
older too. That's 90s.
Yeah.
Though.
That's what I think. That's one of the first ones. But if you
Yeah.
notice, there weren't a lot of other shows back then who did that. Like Dot Hack in its time was like one of the only ones. But then in the era of Sword Art Online, well, there's that one, and there's just, it's like every show is doing an isekai.
I blame
Right?
zombies
Mhm.
because everybody did a damn zombie show.
That's right.
And then everyone succeeded, or a zombie game, and everyone got money off of it. So then anime companies, production companies, I feel like, my opinion, they were like, we could all make the same thing and everybody will watch it anyway. And guess what? Fools like me, and I guess fools like Rockman over here, we will watch them all because that's
We
what
will.
we do.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the popularization of anime. Not to cut you off, but just real quick, another example
You
of that
good.
is Dragon Ball Super, where someone told Akira Toriyama, hey, multiple universes. Marvel did that? We could do that? Okay. And then it's just like, oh, God. Now you have like, hey, there's a universe where Goku's completely evil. There's a universe where, and it's just like, so yeah, the popularization of anime definitely happens.
Yeah. And there's just there's just trends. It's like everyone kind of wants to do the same thing. And for me, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a trend happening in storytelling right now, which is to be very emotional and long-winded, but not to say a lot. Like, I feel like I see it often. And, and as far as new school goes, I feel like My Hero Academia almost did this. And it might be one of the only ones that doesn't do it, unfortunately. Because I just keep watching these new shows where, let's take, for any of fans of the podcast and for any Nerd Plate listeners who want to go check out, our evaluation of Mugen Train, I talk about how they just sat crying for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, do we need this? Is this what story are we telling in this 10 minutes of crying over this character that we just met? Like, I just don't know. I don't know what it's doing. And I think that, well, a lot of it has to do with society's kind of moving towards we want to be on TikTok. We don't want to watch movies anymore. And yet at the same time, we got 3-hour movies in the theaters these days.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine being a kid growing up like 90s, early 2000s, going to the movie theater and the movie's 2 hours long. What? Like, hour and a half and let's go home. Like,
we still did it, but yeah.
Well, we did, and I'm still. That's the funny thing is I say that. No, don't get me wrong. I ain't hating on it.
Right.
It's just I'm noticing that something that never used to happen is suddenly becoming the standard, right? And it just seems like Hollywood anime goes through trends. So, outer space was a trend for a long time. You know?
I couldn't imagine Pokemon the movie being 3 hours long.
Good God.
Yeah, Avatar's going to come out this Christmas and it's 3.5 hours long.
That's James Cameron. That's James Cameron's love letter to James Cameron. So what did you expect?
James Cameron's love letter to James Cameron. Nice. I like that.
That's right. Man, I feel like that was a big way that all the Naruto Shippuden movies kind of shot themselves in the foot. Is
Too
like
long.
most of them would have been way better if they were an hour and a half as opposed to 2 hours. And I can definitely say that's the case for the Digimon Tri movies. Whoo!
Hmm. I tried, brother.
Rockman's eyes got real big.
I couldn't do it, man. I tried. I was just like, you know what? Pokemon's better anyway. You know, like, no.
Real talk, man. So
except Temple of the Sea.
Temple of the Sea we kind of got to put to the side, but anyway, that's sort of my take on new gen versus old gen. I think that what I would hope to see is actually sort of a mixing and matching. Like, I don't really want to see a continuation of fads. Like, I really don't like when something comes out that's really popular and then everybody wants to do it. Is that possible? Will we ever see a world where such a thing exists? I don't know. But I can say that I feel like older anime was better about that than newer anime. I feel like in this current time we live in, everybody wants to go viral. It's all about like the virality and the how fast can we spread this thing. And so they focus more on in their show having shocking moments and like how much can we make the audience go, what? And that's how they tell their friends about it. And I feel like it just wasn't that way back in the day. It was
horror movies. Like think about true horror movies now. They're just slasher gore films.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. It's not true. Like this is scary. This is just gory in a lot of ways. So if you they've changed the game. They've changed what it really means to do those things.
Yeah. So that's my take on it. Sean, what you think?
Cool. I mean, I got mixed feelings on this, and we talked about the big three, and that's kind of where a line is drawn. But I think there's a secondary line too. I think there's actually 4 quadrants almost. I think there's like your Astro Boy Speed Racer. That's like the early.
Yeah.
That's like the pre-early.
Love Speed Racer.
Yeah, and then you have your, like your Dragon Balls and your. Sailor Moons too, like that, the magical girls type of genre.
Can't forget Sailor Moon.
Yeah. And then that's the big three kind of creates this whole new thing. And then you have like your, what I call like the Gen Z anime almost, like the new, like 2015 on your My Heroes, your Demon Slayers, your Jujutsu Kaisens, like those shows. So I think what I've noticed is the newest animes, especially in the most recent ones, they have fixed a lot of the problems that the older animes had. But they also created problems that the old animes did not have. So it's almost like we just completely, like in them trying to fix issues and be better, they let the stuff that was already good slip. So storytelling, for example, would be one of those things. I mean, you don't really see a ton of filler in the really new stuff. Like it is straight to the point, 25 episodes long per season, true to the manga for the most part, Now, is that because they're trying to stay true to the manga and they heard the complaints from prior generations? Or is it because we live in a generation where, more people watch videos on TikTok and reels and shorts nowadays than they do long form content? Is short is that because of that, or was it was that the start of that?
And think about this too. Streaming services. People don't watch this on TV anymore. You're not just gonna watch whatever's on. Like if you don't like what you watching, you gonna change it.
The other exactly.
Back out and pick a new thing on the same, or you might even switch streaming services entirely. You might say, man, Funimation ain't it right now. I'm going over to Hulu. I'm going over to Netflix. Like,
more control over what you watch.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff too. Like, we've all said it. We're going to probably wait until the newest season of My Hero Academia finishes before we binge it. Right. But no one wants to binge a 75. Right. Okay. Not everyone, but
that's right.
Nobody wants to binge a 7,500 episode arc. Right. Mm-hmm. If you were to imagine right now telling somebody, hey, I want you to go and you're going to binge this new arc that came out. It's called the Frieza arc. And you're going to watch all of the filler that's with it because it's the Toonami dub, the original dub. You're going to binge that whole thing. All right? Good luck with that.
You probably watch the same episode 5 times in a row.
Not gonna happen. So right now it's short form content, right? Everyone they want to be true to the manga, but they also want to get in, get out, be done. And I think that's good for in a lot of cases. I also think it's bad because sometimes you need breathing room to flesh out storytelling. You can tell a story in 26 episodes, right? Just like you can tell a story in a movie. But when you're trying to create these worlds in that anime tends to do, it is very difficult to create a good story while also building these worlds. And we are now in a place with Marvel, with DC, with everything, Harry Potter, whatever. They are worlds. They are universes. The things you go to the movies to nowadays and watch are universes. They are cinematic universes. You're not going to watch the one independent movie that isn't about anything in a theater anymore. You're going to see it on streaming. Avatar is part of a universe, so to speak. The Marvel, so on and so forth. So we talked about Hollywood versus in anime. Like, people want these to be a world building thing, and you can't flesh out and you can't create good storytelling by doing that. If you want a really self-contained type of story, you can do that. And there's 2 great examples: Cowboy Bebop and Trigun. Very short amount of episodes, and that is a season now, but that is a 26 episodes was the show, because it wasn't trying to be this big grandiose thing. It was very thin but very deep in its storytelling.
Real quick, since you said
Oh
no.
Ben froze. Oh, there you go. You froze for a second.
Sorry. So I just want to be excited about that because that is coming out, I think, next.
Well, you froze. You were like, "Oh, wait, by the way," and then froze.
And then froze. We didn't get anything after that.
Oh, daggum. I'm sorry. I'll try that again.
And then you came back by saying, "And I'm really excited," so I just wanted to get that out.
I'm really excited about that.
There's a new Trigun anime coming back.
Yes.
Right. They're
Remake.
redoing.
Yes.
Yeah, they're remaking Trigun.
Can't wait.
Very excited.
Yeah.
And Rurouni Kenshin. That's being
They've kind of done that before.
Yeah.
I loved Rurouni
Just
Kenshin.
Didn't pick up steam.
Yeah, and it doesn't, because the original is so strong. Like, you don't need to. It's complete. So
those stories are very self-contained, and you can have very few episodes and have a good in-depth story. Right now, you're trying to build this big thing, and your stories are, you have your Olympic-sized pools, but it's all 3 feet deep in your storytelling, right? That's why Mike loves just talking about how Tanjiro just cries, beats a demon, cries while we do a flashback to their story, and then goes and finds the next demon.
We get a flashback of a dying villain. Why do we get their backstory? They're literally in the process of disintegrating.
Because they want you to care about these
Because they want you to care.
They want you to be
exactly.
like, oh, it's not just a demon. This is a real person. But,
and you could do that.
You don't have to keep reestablishing that.
But
we did that.
You could do that if it wasn't short form content in the number of episodes or seasons. So that's one negative. I think the positive is there's hardly any filler left. I mean, Boruto needs to get on that train and figure their stuff out, because it's nothing but filler. And then this new thing called like anime filler and anime canon, which whatever. But there's a lot less filler, and people are a lot more accepting of anime. This is more for North America, Western culture, but you don't have to, like back in the day with Dragon Ball, in order to make it attention grabbing, you had to redo the soundtrack to make it more 2000s and like Americanized and whatnot. Now this is the purest form. There's no need to mess with the soundtrack. We're going to stay true to what the manga says. And so I think that's a positive and a check in the yes category for the newer anime. And then of course,
F that.
I just remember watching The Return of Cooler and listening to Deftones when he transforms, and then watching legendary Super Saiyan Broly transform for the first time, and I'm listening to Pantera while he's doing it. I'm like, this is very late 90s, early 2000s right now, which is great. It's cool when you watch it for the first time, especially when you're, in the Western culture, but they don't have to do that as much anymore.
Yeah.
The older crowd, like there's more fleshed out stories you can develop more, but because they felt the need to consistently push out an episode every single week and they don't take breaks like they used to or like they do now, you had all this filler, which some of it's good, Otherworld tournament filler, great, and then some of it's really bad, like
all the Naruto
Namek.
filler is bad.
All the Naruto filler, yeah.
The Crystal
Bleach
Tails,
Bleach
so
too?
bad.
The Bonto saga? Yeah. I'm not gonna let that go. I remember that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's your differences there. Another thing too is violence.
Mhm.
There is not as much violence and edgy content on a lot of them. I say this very loosely, but mainstream anime. I think part of it is, and I could be wrong, but I feel as though maybe some of the Eastern lines kind of they shifted in what they feel is acceptable. And so you don't nearly see as much edgy and racy type things. I mean, you get your stuff here and there, but I don't know. I don't know if they're being broadcasted at different times. I want to say some of the shows do. Like I want to say Dragon Ball Super in particular, they're not broadcast at the same time that Dragon Ball Z was. They're in an earlier time spot and they're trying to reach a broader audience, right? And so they need to not have Piccolo rip his arm off and a bunch of blood spew out, right? They want to make it a little more family friendly, at least in the Western culture, that's good for ad revenue. I don't know how that is in the Japanese culture where it's created, but another thing too with the new gen, and I think this is a benefit for the new gen, so it's not intended, is I remember when I was younger and I would go into the mall and I'd go into Hot Topic. All right.
Mhm.
And Hot Topic, the three things that were in Hot Topic were trip pants, the latest CDs, and I could put headphones on and listen to the new tracks to get a sample, and band t-shirts. All right. It was all rock and it was all like wrist bracelets, right? With the spikes. Now you walk. Yep, exactly. Now you walk into Hot Topic and it's My Hero Academia and it's Harry Potter and it's what's it called? Demon Slayer, and it's Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's Dragon Ball. It's a lot more spread out. It's pop culture, nerd culture, so to speak. Whereas before it was like you're the alt kid who like has eyeliner on and has wristbands, and we all went through that phase. I had definitely I had the shirt that said lost my mind, a reward if you find it. Like I was that kid, right? Like we all had those shirts, right? And so that definitely helps get the new anime out to a lot more folks. And I think this anime is, the newer stuff is a little more open to multiple different types of people.
It's definitely a lot more acceptable to watch anime nowadays as opposed to back in the day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like you used to get made fun of for
dad calls
anime.
My dad would call every anime Pokemon.
The Pokemon show.
Yeah. My mom would call
again.
My mom would call. I would do like the Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments at Books A Million and stuff. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna play that Pokemon?" I was like, "Yep, I'm playing Pokemon. It's Yu-Gi-Oh, right?" So I mean, there's obviously a tons of differences. Like, there's things that we just all know about. Obviously, the animation quality is a lot better, right? Just because they have computer generation options and whatnot. But I will tell you, there is nothing that pleases my soul more than watching a very, very nicely drawn frame in an old school anime. I can think of probably the nicest one was when Super Saiyan 2 Goku was preparing to fight Kid Buu on the Supreme Kai planet, and there was lightning striking around them. And the way Goku was animated, it was chef's kiss. It was gorgeous. And you appreciate it more because you know that takes a ton of work to do. I don't know. I'm not an animator, but I would assume that doing that on the computer with the 3D and the computer generated animation is much easier to achieve because we see those gorgeous frames a lot more. So I can appreciate seeing that in the older generation a lot more. I mean, there's some bad animation in some of our best and most favorite animes. Like there's some bad animation. But yeah, so there's kind of a cacophony of thoughts when it comes to old school versus new school. But I don't think one's necessarily better than the other. I think overall, what the newer generation has done better, they have slacked in the things that the old gen did quite good. So honestly, I think it's a yin and a yang. Rockman, finish us out.
Man, all right. So those are all really great points, and it kind of falls on me since I've been alive for all the generations. It kind of falls on me to kind of give the evolution of it. So I'm gonna jump into a few things. So the first things I'm gonna start with is the way the sequencing is done in anime is a little bit different. But we saw that as well in the old school way. Different things. Like, for example, a lot of people don't even remember what OVAs are anymore. Does anyone here know what an OVA is?
Oh, yeah.
Mike, yeah. Okay. So you guys do. So that's good. Because, of course, you're the anime triad. But, original variation anime used to be, hey, we have a story. It's a little bit different from the main story, but here's like an hour and 30-minute long. Like, this is what we want the characters to do. And you don't see those anymore. So back in my time of anime, of the times of Vampire Hunter D, Ninja Scroll, 8-Man, Wicked City, Pat Labor, as well as like you have stuff like Fist of the North Star, things like that. It was a lot of, okay, we have serialized anime, we also have complete anime, and then we just have anime movies. And back then, there were more anime movies / OVAs / just like here's an hour or something presentation of our anime versus serialized. And so back then, you only had a few serialized at one time because, of course, Shonen was like, all right, we only want to do this many at this time. Plus, a lot of where the fillers come from is, of course, catching up with manga. We know that's the number one reason. But also, too, a lot of people don't know is from the Japanese holidays and how they have different traditions that they have to, all right, we're not airing anime because we're airing this particular anime, or we're airing this particular show that's only seasonal. So that's where a lot of that comes from, too. And that's why a lot of series kind of went on. But back in that time frame, I remember that to where, like, sometimes an anime would only be a 6-part series, and that's it. You get 6 episodes, and that was it. So I found that to be a little different in today's society, because now it seems like serialized anime is a little bit more of the main focus than just one-offs or one-shots or OVAs. Because, like I said, like I don't even think kids nowadays who are fans of anime even know what OVA is. So I found that to be interesting, but at the same point, I think now with everything being more marketing and they have more of the market share out there, because anime used to just be like, yo, it's Japan, that's it. If you ever wanted to see it, unless you had a new type magazine, unless you can smuggle in some videos, unless you can smuggle in DVDs or fan subs, you weren't going to see that anime. And it's funny to bring up another point to speak to Mike, where he was like, yo, I think, the older anime was a little bit serious. We actually had funny anime. It's just you can't find them anymore. Like, did you know there was an anime that made fun of Power Rangers called Shinesman, which is really cool. And it's this odd anime that just, instead of being teenagers being able to morph, it was adults who had real working job, who were salarymen, and they were morph to like go fight these monsters, but they also had their daily lives they were thinking about. So this one dude's like, oh man, I hope we get done with this boss because I got a date with the Turkish twins. And it's like hilarious shit, man.
And it's like a Power Rangers parody.
Yeah, it's a full-on Power Rangers parody.
That's
it's great. And if you could ever find it, buy it, because you can't find it anywhere anymore. It was on videotape, and that's it. They never showed it. I don't know who has the rights to it now. And I want to say it was under either Urban or Manga, because at the time that was another crazy thing too. Back then, you only had 2 big companies that really just like, all right, cool. Like this is who we're putting out manga or anime with, and it was Manga or Urban Entertainment, and it was crazy because they had pretty much all of them. Another thing that really changed between that old school and the new school was the protagonists. if you notice back then, the protagonist in Fist of the North Star, he's this muscular dude. Kenshiro just has muscles on top of muscles. But now in this new age, they've kind of traded that in for like the emotionally available guy who's like, all right, the power of friendship is going to take me through this. He has literally almost no muscles, but then he powers up with his friends and he has a few muscles, you know what I'm saying? But he's still this skinny dude. And it's crazy because you saw that transformation. Like, I'll give an example of that. The two black swordsmen, the actual real black swordsman from Berserk, which was Guts. We all remember my man Guts, who was just like this big, strong, like, I have this, like, 200-pound sword on my back. Versus what they call the black swordsman now, Kirito from like Sword Art Online, who's this skinny kid from high school, is just like, I carry a sword, but I'm dangerous. You just don't know. I don't look like it. And so it's crazy to see that dichotomy, because back then all the superheroes went for that. Goku, when he flexed up all his muscles, he was super strong. Again, bringing up Kenshiro, bringing up Guts, bringing up some of the other people, like the one guy from Bastard, like the original Bastard before they did this remake. He was like that too. And so it was crazy because that was their representation. And I feel like that was a kind of a mirror of the times, because back then people wanted the stoic superhero macho man, kind of like, hey, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then now you're going into like the new age where they want the emotionally available male that's like a good dude but still strong in his own way.
I mean, it's like the All Might versus Midoriya.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And that's My Hero Academia plays off that, because what happens to All Might, and then you see Midoriya just come in his own, and when he flares up and gets like his muscle power, you see the muscles, but you also see he's still this scrawny kid that could basically.
That's also very similar, like in a lot of things, like professional wrestling, for example. Look absolutely. At like the original generation, like
steroid era versus now.
Yeah. I mean, Hulk Hogan, and even before that, and now the people that get over the most are the ones that the audience and the fans relate to the most in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. So it's one of those things to where you see that evolution, and again, that's just more of the sign of the times, because that's what we wanted back then in the 80s and 90s, the strong macho, like, all right, let's take down the predator. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Now versus now we want the emotionally just every man that's still perfect and strong in his own way, and thanks to his friends, he's going to make it. So that's another thing you see in anime that's kind of weird. And then the violence, and I've noticed that too, and I think that plays more so on the fact that, like, back then, Japanese animation in our time was like niche. Like, if you didn't know about it, it didn't exist in your world. And I think now that they have more market like place, they're trying to think about, okay, cool, can we show this? Because like there's a lot of things they can't show in China, and now they have to be like, okay, since we're airing in China, what do we need to take out? Same thing like in America, because that was the big problem when anime first came over to America, was the censorship. And they had to find a way, okay, how can we still be supportive and still be true to the content, but then I can't show a kid getting ripped in half. You know what I'm saying? So that was a big thing way back, especially with Toonami. Toonami's like, yo, we'll just show this at 12. Like, we can't show this to you guys, because a lot of people don't know Cowboy Bebop is a great example of that. Although it's one of their most least censored anime, they did censor a lot out of it. Like, for example,
there's a whole episode.
Yeah, there's a whole episode they left out.
Yep.
Which they had to bring that back. Like a lot of people, I remember watching that, and I was like, wow, I've never seen this episode before.
Same. It's in the, if you have a Blu-ray pack, it's in there.
Right.
It was never on TV.
Yeah, they couldn't put it on TV. And one of the scenes they did put on TV where Faye came in and she was taking down a gay criminal. In the actual, if you watch the Cartoon Network / the Adult Swim Cowboy Bebop episode, they completely white out the guy. So it's just a guy in a bed just looking at Faye with a gun in his mouth. But in actuality, he was on top of another dude, and you wouldn't have known that until you actually watched it. And I think the one that was left out was with the guy, Jupiter Jazz. Was it him, or was it I can't remember which one, but where he was basically he become like a transsexual, or not trans, but he was
Super
like
Jazz 1 and 2. That's
1 and 2. Yeah, they didn't show them, And they had several reasons. Like one of the official reasons they said they didn't show it is because 9/11 just happened, and because of like terrorism and stuff like that, they didn't want to show it. But we all knew, like when you found out about the guy in the, like, oh, that's why they didn't show it,
Yeah.
And we have so many of that because I mean that's like Ninja Scroll. There are so many rape scenes in that they're just like, yeah, we can't show this on TV. Like the fact that Sci-Fi showed it was just amazing to me. But I think that's why they've toned down the gore because even I don't know if you guys remember High School of the Dead. When that
that was great.
Even Japan was like, I loved it, but Japan is like, we're showing too much fan service, and even for that particular,
the bullet went between her boobs.
That was crazy.
It was one of the sickest scenes I've ever watched.
The three of you knew exactly what I was going to say.
Yes.
We all thought of the same scene before I said it.
And like that's why we hadn't got the season 2 because they had a second part to that. And they were just like, nah. Like, even Japan's like, nah, it's too much even for us.
The manga finished. We just didn't get any more. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So,
man, I feel like episode 6 of that show was just them in the bathtub the whole episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just the girls in the bath was the whole episode 6 or 5. I don't remember which one. But it was like, yo!
And the fact that they, like, it was just great. So, and it's very funny now, and I think another thing that I really love, and this is my final point, is that I love that it is more mainstream. I mean, there's always pitfalls with things going mainstream, but I do love the fact that now people don't have to like go to Atlanta to the underground and then go to that one little Chinese kung fu bootleg shop where like that's all you can get is like here's all the anime. At least now that it's mainstream, the right people can get the money they deserve. The voice actors can get the money they deserve most of the time. And then just the corporations cannot they can actually judge based on like good metrics and not just like, well, all right, it's not really showing here and take it off. Because, that's a lot of our anime were like, victims to that. Like Log Horizon, they didn't know at first if they're going to do a third season because they're like, well, we don't know if it's catching up. And then I know the creator also got sick. Dead Man Wonderland, which we just never got. And I know because again, the person passed, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like, well, that's it. It's gone, and I really like that because trust me, the new type thing.
Or Trinity Blood.
Yeah, Trinity Blood. Trinity Blood. They get all the way to the end and they're like, that's it. And I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, Trinity Blood was a great anime that was adapted from the manga, and the manga author passed away from cancer, I believe. This was years ago, and it was a fantastic anime. A lot of fun. Colleen Clickenbeard is main voice actor. Chris Sabat is one of the priests. He's Trey's.
Yeah, man.
Trey's
yeah.
That's a personal favorite. That was the first anime I ever bought because I bought it on iTunes, and I had it on I had the original iPod video. And I had the entire season of Trinity Blood on my iPod video. I felt like a baller.
And that's another thing too, and that's why I love that now there's different avenues and good avenues you can go watch it, because you can even buy some anime that you can't find on Crunchyroll and Hulu. You can even buy it on the Microsoft Store or buy it on different digital stores. And I like that a lot better because in the dark ages, we had to watch 3-parters on YouTube. Like I remember watching all the weeks, like with the 3-part, and you got like sometimes they take down the 3rd part. You're like, I gotta see how it ends. Like what,
Listen,
so
what we moved. I live in St. Augustine, which is south of Jacksonville by about 25-30 minutes. When we moved here, like originally came down, we were my folks, and I'm going into 6th grade, and we had just gotten to the point on Toonami where the Android saga was starting. And we all were like, ooh, and new episodes finally. We've watched Namek blow up 30 times.
So many times, yes.
And my brother and I, we moved down. We didn't have cable yet. And it was going to be like a month before they hooked up cable. Because this is back in the old days where like they actually had to run like a big line to your house and like took forever. And my brother and I like, we're going to miss like a month of
5 episodes.
And so my uncle recorded each episode on VHS for us every week. So every Saturday morning, and this is pre Rising Sun Toonami, which I thought was the best of Toonami, was the Rising Sun. I loved it because the Garlic Jr. Saga was on that.
Yep.
But every Saturday morning, my brother and I would pop that VHS in, and we would have our own little mini Dragon Ball Z marathon every Saturday morning. It was pretty dope.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So yeah, the evolution, it's always good. The only thing I worry about is the creativity, because we talked about Isekai, how it's getting saturated. Because Isekai used to be 3 anime, now it's like 300 anime.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And they did the same thing. We saw the same kind of boom with Mecha, because when Gundam took off, then you have 50 different Gundam series. Gundam is still going. Gundam is so Gundam. Gundam is detached from the main Gundam just to make other stories, and now you have Gundam stories that attach to other Gundam stories, which is crazy.
Yeah, and then,
So
I love Gundam. I'm a massive Gundam fan,
dude. Mobile Suit all day, man.
Yeah,
Side story.
Dude, Mobile Suit was fantastic. My favorite off-branch Gundam, though, is the 8th MS, the 8th Mobile Suit team off of the 1 Year War.
Yes.
And Shiro Amada is the main character's
name.
So
powerful, man. Especially how it ends. And just
it
was great. And the other thing I will credit the new evolution for is I as a black person, I don't know if you guys knew this. I am black. It is a permanent thing. I am stuck with it. No, love of blackness. But I love that there's more representation now in terms of like characters as well, because that used to be a big problem in anime in the beginning. Is that and it's mostly because Japanese people, one, didn't see it, as two, they don't really communicate with us, so they don't know that how they're depicting us, if we're ever depicted, is a huge caricature, and it's just like what they saw in pop United States culture. And so I love that as time progressed, we got like actual smart characters that weren't so caricaturized with the red lips and the super dark, like skin.
Mr. Popo.
But now, Mr. Popo, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
General Black.
General Black. Oh my! It was like, okay, please. And so as time progressed, they got better black people. So thank you.
Well, and I think the most notable to me is, of course, Samuel L. Jackson as Afro Samurai.
Yes, Ninja and Afro Samurai.
Ooh. Yeah, and then as it moves on, you start getting other people like you get Bob in Tenjo Tenge.
You also get
and then you get
the Soul Brothers in Cowboy Bebop, which I loved. That was so respectful. I love the Soul Brothers. I love it. It's great.
You're right. You're right. That's a pretty significant thing. And then
and you know what the funny story is? I'm sorry to cut you off. You know what the funny story is? I don't even like Afro Samurai as much as I do Samurai Champloo. I always think that's
Samurai
better.
Champloo, yeah.
Like I think that was a better fusion of hip hop and like samurai together. So
correct. That's what I was trying to think of. Like, what is?
Yes.
Yes.
Mugen, Gene, and all those. I love it. But
I got Mugen's sword.
Oh, dude, do you really? Like with the little hilt?
Like I have a real sword that's Mugen's. It's got his like hilt and sheath and all that, and it's got the strap.
I love it, man. It's I don't know if you guys. Well, of course you guys know this because you're the anime triad. But that Carol and Tuesday and Cowboy Bebop are all in the same universe. I was just like, I love Shisaniro Watanabe. That dude's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I enjoy the as a person who's been around to see to even see Gungrave go from being a 5-hour video game to the anime that it had to now Gungrave Gore. Oh, dude, Yoshikiro Naito is a genius for making both Trigun and Gungrave.
Yeah,
genius.
I'll tell you, Gungrave much sadder than Trigun.
Oh,
much sadder than Trigun.
Man,
Caution. By the way, if you ever want to watch one of the most happy, joyful animes ever, please go watch Wolf's Rain.
Oh no, don't do this. No.
Oh my god,
dude.
How you finna lie to the people?
I'm so
He's
sorry,
lying.
no. Don't do it.
let me say this.
That is the equivalent of telling somebody to go to the Coke Museum and trying Beverly because they love it.
Yes. Thank you, John. Thank you. Let me say this, man. Ben, that show should come with a prescription of Prozac right as you watch.
Yes. Oh, and a warning label. Like you should have to have your doctor sign a paper allowing you to open the packaging saying you are a fit mental health.
It should come with 2 weeks therapy.
Oh, bro. Like, because
you might need it.
Dude, when you watch it, they should have a disclaimer say, hey, are you happy right now? That's cool. Don't watch this. Come back when you're really emo. That's when we need you. Because, just the whole undertones, the songs, the fact that they're in snow almost 100% of that anime.
The fact that you're watching it and you think it's going to get better and you're holding out hope and it just gets worse.
Bro, the scene where she's holding the wolf and, they're finally together and he turns around. She just gone. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Why you had to talk about it, Cliff? Now, where the hell that Prozac now?
Bruh.
Listen,
You can't even talk about that show, man.
What's the... Oh, man. And another one. Kill la Kill. No, Akame got killed. Akame got killed.
Akame got killed.
Sad. Like, awful.
It's you know what? At least Wolfgang kind of gives you like hope. This one starts off like this is going to be a bad anime. With his trip to the city, it's just like, well,
Mike, did I not call you when I finished that and I raved for like an hour?
Let me tell you about this, man. I was playing Jack and Daxter in my house, and I get a phone call from Ben, and he said, "Man, I just finished Akame ga Kill." And the next hour was him talking about how bad that show was. He just he went off on it, man. He was, I hadn't even seen it. It's just I'm all
for, listen, I don't care about, it's been out a while now, so I don't care. I'm not going to spoil anything directly, but here's the deal. I know that characters die sometimes. It happens. It happens. But everyone.
Yep. Countdown, baby.
You the countdown is gone. Wolf's Rain, that one, I don't understand. It's like J.R.R. Martin got a hold of this before he was popular. It was like, you know what? I'm gonna write them all off.
Goodbye,
bro. It was so tough, and I mean, they had some of the best fight scenes and everything, but just the story between those two people, from the time he walks in that city to the time he gets hugged. And what happens. Mm-hmm. You're just like, what are we? I'll never forget that.
And he finally got his girl.
I know. Seeing the conclusion was just like I don't like you. Just you.
That's
you
the worst.
You stop after anime's over. You just stop and you're just sitting with your thoughts. And you're just like, I can't even what just happened.
What? It's like when I had to take a 2-week break from Death Note.
Oh, definitely.
Man. I had to actually stop, and I was like, "No, this is bad. I'm out."
But see, when you came, the thing about Death Note is at least it's like you said, characters die sometimes, and sometimes it sucks. But if a character's gonna die, make it for a good reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
No. Akame ga Kill didn't get that note.
Yeah, they didn't get that. There's a lot of shows that didn't get that note.
Shout out to our boy Neji.
RP to go.
Really gonna stick it to him. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Terrible.
Could you imagine? So reading the manga was funny because I'm waiting for Mike to get, because Mike didn't read the manga, but he's watching Shippuden, and I was waiting for the part where he got to that in the anime, and I'm just like, what happened? He goes, dude.
They delivered that so, because I was like,
and I was
how are they gonna pull that off? And when they pulled it, I was like, wow, okay, because I thought they were gonna, not do that, but yeah.
But I did want to play a little bit off of Mike real quick. So talking about fads, we do a lot of anime movie reviews, and probably one of the highest rated movies we've reviewed is My Hero Academia. Was it Two Heroes? Was this the second one?
No, the second one was wait, maybe I don't remember.
Two Heroes. Yeah, that's what him and Bakugo are fighting.
Heroes
right.
Rising.
Heroes Rising.
Heroes Rising.
Yeah, Two Heroes.
he-
is the
Two
first
Heroes
one.
was the first one.
So Heroes Rising, and it was one of our most highly like the ones that we rated the highest. And the thing about My Hero Academia is it's its own trope in its own self. Like it's not just a standard superhero one. Like it's not like One Punch Man, which is great. Love One Punch Man, it's so fun. But like it's its own thing, its own entity. It's that whole slice of life, classroom, the going to school. It's that also superhero action. It has. There's nothing else like this, and I know. And here's my biggest problem with newer, like this generation of. I almost sound old here, but like the fact that people will hate on something because it's popular and not because it's actually bad. My Hero Academia is fantastic. And the fact that people go off on it because it's popular is ridiculously stupid, and they should all be ashamed of themselves. And I will stand by that.
So true. I'll stand with you because I love that show.
It's such a good show. And when you were saying it, you're trying to compare it to stuff. I feel like the closest I could get is to say it's a combination of One Punch Man and Assassination Classroom.
That was the other one I thought of. Yeah.
Because Assassination Classroom is one of the only other shows like My Hero that I've seen that every character is important and there's over 20 of them. That is a really hard bout. Like ensemble cast, really hard to do.
Very.
Yes.
Those two shows did it with more than almost any other show I've seen. Like that many characters.
Look at Dragon Ball. Think the Z Warriors get left behind.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Super does a pretty decent job of getting people back into it, but not everybody, and not as effective.
Yeah,
so you're right. Ensemble casting is very hard, and it's not something that older anime did. It's a very newer. It's a very newer anime kind of trope. Attempt thing
because when you watch Fist of the North Star, you only care about Kenshiro. Nobody else matters.
Correct.
Nobody. Those dudes that he like exploded the heads of, I don't care. They were bad guys.
Doesn't matter anymore. They're dead. Right, move on.
Yeah, we don't have to cry about them for 10 minutes. We can leave.
have a whole Assassin's
we don't
Creed
need
moment.
their backstory.
Look like have a whole Assassin's Creed moment with their head, just like, oh, you were a human once. Oh, lay them down to rest.
I literally can't watch it. Like,
that's so messed up, man. It's good. It's just a lot of what we talked about in the Nerd Play when we first talked about it. Is me and Leroy Ketchum talked about how he didn't have his squabbles yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, Midori was over here for a whole month, just like, all right, cool. I'm going to do this for you, All Might, and I'm going to get the power and stuff. Tenshiro went off the training. He went to training camp. He came back. All right, cool. Let's go.
And the worst part about it is he supposedly, like, they just didn't make it clear. Did he learn all of the forms at that moment? Or is he learning them as he goes?
No, he's a Mary Sue.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, like, how is he doing them if he wasn't strong enough to practice them? Like, it's just not good. That's just the end of the story. Like, he cries about everything. He only gets powers when he's supposed to. Other characters around him are way stronger than him. And yet they're made useless because plot bullshit.
And you know what's crazy, Mike? They will give him a pass, but they won't give Deku a pass. And Deku busts that dude puts his heart and soul into it.
He works
crying
hard.
or not. Like, he could be a crybaby all he wants to. He is breaking his arm when he's using a power that's not even his.
I'd cry too.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Let him
Tanjiro ain't got no reason to cry.
Because he gets upset. He gets upset about his friends, his family, people close to him, not complete strangers who are evil.
And then on top of that, like, Deku is just like, they have told him, like, remember he's sitting with the nurse and she's like, listen, you only got 3 or 4 more times to go max power. After that, you're not gonna have your arms anymore. He's like, all right, cool, gotta save my friends, doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Like he's
like, dude, man, he is a true hero. I don't care what anybody says about My Hero Academia. That dude's a true hero. And like just throughout that show, everybody becomes to his, like all of them are like, yo, he's on a whole nother level. Not because like, oh, his all might power. It's because no, this dude is really a hero. Like even when he didn't have power, he was like, I'm gonna go save Bakugo. Hold
That's
on.
right.
You know? And like that's
true character strength.
That
like,
is,
yeah,
man.
okay, he's a little teary, but he's passionate.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
absolutely.
he's not teary because he's a bitch.
Right.
He's teary because he realizes he's not as strong as he needs to be.
No,
but he has to act anyway.
He's like, yo, I can't do anything, even if it's just a punch to the face. I'm going for it.
I'm going for it because what else can I do?
Like that dude is the Captain America of anime.
And in season 5, when they're doing the training ground thing, right? Mm-hmm. And is it what's his name? Shinzo? Who?
The Matt with 2 talks.
Yeah.
If you talk to him, he controls you.
Yep.
They had that big fight. And here's the thing: it's like he had special training and already had a crazy thing. And like after the whip, whatever thing went off, Deku beat him on his own with the skills he's acquired, with his own knowledge and preparation.
Absolutely.
The thing I have about Tanjiro and Demon Slayer is that like he has it. Honestly, it's he's trying to go Super Saiyan every time. He's relying on a Super Saiyan power up of emotion, or somebody to come save the day, or Nezuko to get out of the box and come kick a demon's head off. You know, it's right. He's not actually progressing like that. What I see in the show now, he is progressing because they say he's progressing, but you actually see it and you see the work, and that's what you guys were saying is.
Absolutely.
That's just he's a better protagonist than, but also the supporting cast of My Hero is better because
way better.
And they got 20 of them.
Yeah.
My Hero got 20 characters. Demon Slayer couldn't even do 2 supporting characters with any substance. You only had to make 2 characters worth a damn, and you couldn't even do that. Like, get out of here with that shit. I don't have time for it.
The Demon Slayer fans right now are just like, oh, you just don't even know.
Tell me why.
It's past the bedtime.
Y'all.
Tell me why this blonde dude has lightning abilities and he's completely useless. Like, he's easily the strongest character.
Don't let him fall asleep. Don't let him fall asleep.
Don't fall asleep. Don't let him fall asleep. Like, come on, man. Like, he easily has the strongest power. I would say even out of the higher ranked people, but he only use it when he is asleep. What kind of?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe how dumb that is.
Bro, it's funny because it's the opposite end of Goku becoming so powerful that you can't touch him. The Ultra Instinct, which I'm just like, that's what we doing out here. Like, I move so fast. If you even think about punching me, I can't be touched. I'm like, okay, Dragon Ball. But yeah, it's like the opposite of that. And it's funny because in My Hero Academia as well, that's another thing that that's why I love it. I mean, the pacing's been a little slow, especially now we're getting a lot of action this new season, which I encourage y'all to go watch. But it's crazy because you do see the evolution and you see them actually like work for it. And the protagonists are actually like going through stuff. It's not just, oh, I wish I was stronger. Like, no, like, man, Midori went through like his mom was like, yo, you go. We don't, she didn't want him to go at first. All Might had to come to the house and be like, please, let him go. She didn't want to see what happened to him. Happened to All Might. I mean, what happened to All Might happened to Midori. It's insane.
And the other thing about My Hero is the protagonists, all their powers, everybody's power has some kind of drawback to it. Like, there's always some kind of repercussion or consequence to their power if they push it and stuff. And like it's practical in that sense. Like, you're not going to be all powerful. It's
a physical ability.
Yeah, and that's what's so good. The thing is with like a lot of shonen, I guess, most shonen like Dragon Ball Z is guilty of this too, and Demon Slayer, Bleach. You use your power enough, you just get tired.
That's it. Or it's running well. Like, they're just so powerful. It's just power. It just comes.
There's no but like, look at Ida. He like his legs can overheat and they can't be used.
Yes.
He gets he's a burnout if he used that power.
That's
Midoriya, if he's not careful, he goes too strong, he breaks his bones. Ochako, she gets sick, she gets nauseous. Bakugo, his big thing is he can't actually control it. He has to have the gauntlets for it to go a directional. It just kind of goes. Like his gauntlets help him do concentrate the blast. So his is not even.
We've seen him when he does it for a long time. His arms get shaky.
It
starts to backfire on him. Like it starts to hurt.
Yeah. And so there's all kinds of stuff that you go and Genki, he zaps, but he goes stupid.
I love that.
That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Which, unlike the dude in Demon Slayer, who has to go stupid before he can go zap.
That's a point. That's a good point, man.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, man. I just and that's again going back to the new ones. Just I think there's so much innovation. I think there's so much great storytelling moving forward sometimes. And I mean, sometimes the storytelling, like right now, I can't stand Sword Art Online. Like Sword Art Online season 1 and 2 were great. I don't know what they were doing everything else. Especially with
I agree with you 100%. I struggled with the last anything past the first
the Alicization.
Oh yeah, that new one. I can't even
garbage.
Homie, if you've noticed, I haven't recommended that to you.
Right.
Well, the thing was, no, you're right. And the thing was, I watched it anyway because I was watching Sword Art Online anyway. And then, because I think they passed it to a new, new animator, new writer, the writing style is completely different. And the way that previous season ended on such a ridiculous cliffhanger was just like, this is actual trash.
It's gone too far now, man.
Yeah,
it's time to end it.
Yeah, I've been waiting this whole season for somebody to explain what's going on exactly, and you just gonna leave it here? This is get out of here with that. I really liked Sword Art Online up until that last season. I even liked the gun stuff. A lot of people didn't like the gun stuff, but I really liked it.
That story is way better than what they got going right now.
Yeah, I liked it, and it was just I don't know. Maybe people smelled it coming. I did. I usually smell things coming, but I didn't. And it's probably because it didn't switch to that new animator or new writer, whoever.
Yeah, bro. After the little girl that was really sick had died, that was it for me. Because that was a great arc. But after that new arc they were starting was just done. We went back in to see that he had forgotten his memory and all. I was like,
that didn't even. I don't know why they would do that.
I can't do it, man. I can't.
Yeah, trash.
Ben, you're muted.
I'm a big fan of anime that are a little I don't mind a simple story if it's done right. The anime where it's there's some crazy strong what's the one where it's the guy who left the hero's party to live a quiet life in the country. It's a crazy long title, but
god, the reincarnated something.
No. He's literally he was part of the hero's party and he quit. And he's an apothecary in the small village. And he's a really low rank explorer, but he has crazy high survival skills. And it's those worlds where the real life skills are talked to video game skills, but it's not a video game. And I like those where he's just look, he thought he was holding back the party who happened the party leader. And so he leaves. And eventually he comes back to help because he's stupid strong, and he's clearly the thing that's missing to the party being whole again. What was it? Artefreda, from Commonplace to World's Strongest.
So yeah.
He gets betrayed by his classmate or something, ends up surviving in this underground cave, and it almost makes no sense. But it's super fun and enjoyable because now he's just a killer. He is he was a weak, puny kid, and now he's super strong. I love it, man. I love the rise to power. Or was it is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Oh,
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is my joint. I love that.
Yeah, and he's just like his skill level is that he can accelerate really high once he gets some experience. All it takes. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. Like those anime are great and they seem silly, but you go, man, it's a concept you don't because it's different and it's done well, and it has to be done well because it's different. Because if you do something different for the sake of being different, it's not going to be good. You have to sell what it is. You have to sell the product.
Yeah, and the structure has to be different because that's just like there's another one that was really good, but it kind of the older series, not older, but the older season took a nosedive. But Darker Than Black was like one of the best animes I like sat through and watched.
Yes.
And it's crazy because Darker Than Black was about this guy who was taking out these contracts like enhanced, and he wasn't even enhanced himself. You don't find that out till like later on or whatever. But like he was still just like, yep, no, I'm still gonna kill them all. You know, and like he worked through like it was an actual evolution, and he took out all these different crazy super strong people through different things. And even them going back to how we were talking about My Hero Academia has, okay, cool, they might be this, but their weakness is this. Every person who's a contractor was like, yo, my contract is like one dude. I love the dude that was like, in order to use his power, he had to count out 76 stones exactly and then brush them all away and then do it over again. It was crazy because that was their contract for these just crazy powers. Sometimes it was like, yo, it's not even worth the contract, you know, but I have this power. So it was just great. That was another great series that I felt the evolution was great. So if you hadn't watched it yet, please go watch it. It's great. Darker Than Black. Amazing. Only the first 2 seasons, though. Third season's kind of me.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
That's dope, man. Shoot, I think we got like 4 episodes in here.
Yeah, man, we've been chatting for a while, but it was anyway. Rockman 3K3, man, it was great having you on again.
Thank you for having me on, guys. Thank you.
No
I
problem.
really appreciate it.
All right, and so we'll hopefully have you back on soon, and I mean, we'll catch you guys later.
Peace, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.